Hello, everyone, and welcome to Data Platform Summit 2020. My name is Anand Raman, and I lead the program management for Azure Cognitive Services at Microsoft. Today, we will be speaking on Inside Azure Speech Services, and I am joined by my colleagues at Microsoft, Oliver, Panos, and Vish. We have a three-part agenda. Oliver will cover part one on unlocking speech interactions and insights in 10 minutes, followed by Vish, who will speak to building voice assistants with custom commands, and Panos will conclude the talk with call center transcription analytics. Let me invite Oliver to speak to unlock speech interactions and insights in 10 minutes. Take it away, Oliver.
My name is Oliver Scholz. I'm a program manager in the Azure Speech Developer Experience team. In this talk today, we'll have something for everybody, regardless of whether you are completely new to Azure Speech or whether you've used the service for a long time. We're happy to see you in the digital realm today and hope you and your communities are staying safe during this unsettling time. I'm sure many of you have had interactions in the real world in the last couple of months where you wished you could have used speech technologies instead of touch user interfaces. I know I have. I felt strange touching the self-checkout screen in the supermarket or pressing buttons in elevators. Speech technologies can help make interactions safer in a pandemic and more convenient all the time. I hope you take one thing away from the presentation today, and that is that the Azure Speech Service is approachable and easy to work with. It is chock full of rich no-code tools that make it easy for you to adapt the service to your scenarios and solutions. And the Azure Speech team is just as approachable as the service. We are super active on GitHub, Stack Overflow, and User Voice, and we love helping our customers make the most out of our service. So let's talk a little bit about use cases that may be interesting to you in your world. We see a growing demand for speech services across a variety of industries, and two use cases really stand out to us. One is deriving data and insights from existing speech interactions. We see this happening in call centers and meeting transcription scenarios. Call centers want to learn from the customer interactions that are already happening in their world, and turning speech into text transcripts is then key to unlocking these spoken interactions. The transcripts allow our customers to perform analytics on the text and draw out insights like general content themes and sentiment analysis, so they know what topics their customers are talking about and how they feel about these topics. The other use case that we see is in digital assistants. These are customer-facing experiences that happen on set-top boxes, in hotel rooms, or in cars, where companies empower their customers to interact with their products in the most human and friction-free way, by voice. And just like with a human being, the more context you provide to the Azure Speech Service, the more intelligent a conversation you can have. And that is why we believe in customization. We give you access to our tools, our training platform, our models, and our neural net infrastructure so that you can create your own assets and base them on our already very high quality baseline. We believe customization should be easy and not require you to write code or even be a machine learning expert. Speech Studio at speech.microsoft.com is our customization toolkit. And once you customize how the service works for you, your investment in Azure Speech becomes part of your competitive advantage. Nobody else can use the service in quite the same way you do, and Microsoft doesn't even see your data. Your data stays your data. So let me show you a few things in Speech Studio, starting with how easy it is to create a custom model. So I'm going to switch over to Speech Studio. I've already created a custom model project here that was just a couple of mouse clicks, and then I've uploaded some data. And we have different types of data that you can upload. One is audio data only. You would typically use that for testing purposes. Another one is related text, and that's really the core that we expect you to upload here. You would use text data from your environment. For example, if you're an insurance company and you have different insurance products and you have text data on that, like brochures or whatever, you would feed those into the system and build your speech recognition model on top of our baseline model with that data to then enhance the model's ability to recognize the terminology in that text data. Another thing you can do is you can upload audio and human labeled transcripts. That is a direct one-to-one comparison between what a person said and what should have come out. You can use that both for training and testing purposes. So what I've done already, I've built a model, and I want you to see that I've built this particular model with just a single text file here. So this is not a realistic scenario, but it illustrates how very little can already go away to improving situations. So I've taken this one file and built a new model with it that I've built on top of our baseline model. And then I've gone and tested this model against our baseline model. So you see here that I've got model number 1, this is my model, and model number 2, this is the baseline model. And you can see that with this one file that I've added, I've already improved the word error rate from 7.89% to 7.42%. Lower is always better with errors. And the types of errors that I've removed are insertion errors and substitution errors. Not completely removed, but reduced them, at least in the substitution example. And you can see down here the different types of errors that you have. You can highlight those or just focus on specific errors, and you see a one-on-one comparison between your model and the model that is our baseline model. You can also listen to the input text, the input audio that we've created, that we've uploaded for testing this. And that's how easy it is to create your own model. And we're very confident that you'll see great accuracy improvement. A number of customers, will show you that later, have seen really great results here. Another thing that you can do in our Speech Studio Toolkit is you can create your own TTS output files, and you can really tweak how they sound. So we've got great baseline voices. In particular, our neural voices sound fantastic and sound very human-like. And you can tweak those. For instance, if you're in a customer service scenario where you have a telephony banking system and you want to have some prompts played to your customers, you might want to have a prompt like this.
Is that really your account number?
So that sounds, it's a very human way to say it. And the voice sounds great, but the intonation isn't quite right. One thing, it's a question, so it should sound a little bit more question-like. So I want to take the intonation and make it function a little bit more like a question. So I know that questions tend to dip in the beginning a little bit and tend to rise towards the end a little bit. And so let me play this.
Is that really your account number?
So that sounds much more like a human question. Another thing I might want to do, because this is in a customer service scenario, I might want to apply a customer service type style to this voice. So let's play that.
Is that really your account number?
So that sounds a little bit more customer service centric, and I like the way that turned out. I'm going to use that file. Another thing I might want to do with TTS is build an entire audiobook from it. So you can see that you might have a voice say something like this, or a character.
Sometimes somebody will bring you something that you really like.
So in the book, the person's a little bit more excited than that, and I also want there to be more emphasis on the word really. So instead of using just a flat TTS, I'm going to use our general style model. I'm going to use a more cheerful style, and I'm also going to take the word really and slow it down a little bit for emphasis, because I know that when we emphasize words, we slow them down a little bit. So let's see what this sounds like with a more cheerful voice and a little bit more intonation.
Sometimes somebody will bring you something that you really like.
So I'm very happy with this because it sounds a little excited and sounds like a fun representation that aligns very well with the character that I have in the book. You may want to also build your own custom neural voice. The voice you just heard was our area neural voice. You can work with us to create your own custom neural voice through our premium service. With a custom neural voice, you extend your brand to include its own voice. Neural voices are based on human voices, and therefore we start with human training data and work with you to coordinate the creation process. We will ensure that you get exactly what you want out of the process. Now let's hear some of our neural voices. I've got a couple of them here. I'll play the human voice first and then the TTS voice.
It is so exciting to be a part of the team.
It is so exciting to be a part of the team.
The New Yorker has a good record of commissioning articles.
That was human.
Can I have your email?
And that was the TTS. As you can hear, the TTS voice is nearly indistinguishable from the human voice it is based on. and it really captures the character of the original voice. In some cases, the TTS voice even sounds better than the human voice. I attribute that to TTS voices not getting nervous when they're being recorded. Next, we are proud to introduce a new command line tool that empowers you to use the Azure service without a single line of code. You can use this tool to test the speech service or automate entire scenarios via batch files or scripts. Let me demo a few of its capabilities here. I'll switch to a command line window that I've got open here, and I've got a couple of commands that I want to show you. So the first one I'm going to use is just recognizing straight up from the microphone. My name is Oliver. I'm here to demonstrate speech recognition. So this recognized exactly what I said, and it even formatted it properly. It added punctuation and spelled my name properly in uppercase. So that's great. What if I wanted to recognize just a single word? I've used Speech Studio to create a custom keyword model for elevator because I want to be able to give the elevator commands and not use my fingers to press buttons in these strange times. So this model will not listen for anything except for that one keyword. So let me try that out. Elevator, take me to the 5th floor. So as you can see, anything I said prior to the keyword did not get recognized. So that's fantastic. And this keyword is super easy to use and deploy on your device as well. So now, let's see if I can batch some files. So what I have here is a command that takes a number of files for a reminder and recognizes them very quickly. For a reminder, what I did here is I said to SPX to recognize. I gave it some files. They're all in a specific directory on my machine, and I let it do it on 4 threads. That's to improve performance. You're really only limited by your hardware how many threads you can use. And I wanted the output to be written to this demo TSV file. And so let's look at the demo TSV file, what the service came up with. So in this TSV file, it gives me the name of the file that I had, and then it gives me the transcript that it came up with. And that too is properly formatted with dates looking like dates, addresses looking like addresses, and phone numbers like phone numbers. And the punctuation is also perfect in it. So you can imagine you can do this at the end of the day in a call center for the 1,000 calls that you got that day, and just let the tool run this for you. Now let's go to another fun scenario where you have the ability to synthesize speech-to-text files. So I have this file, game.txt. If I'm a game developer and I want to build a game for a very well-known children's book, I'll give you extra props if you know the book that I'm referring to here. And I want to have a narrator here speak the content in a different accented voice. And I've picked a couple of accents here, and I want to transcribe these files real quick so that I can see and evaluate what I really want to do here. So I'm sending this on 4 threads again, and in less than 1.5 seconds, it came up with these files, or it made these files for me. So let me switch to the directory that the files are in and play these files for you.
All children, except one, grow up.
All children except one grow up.
All children, except one, grow up.
All children, except one, grow up.
I really like the French accent on this, but you may want to even cater this to your customer base. So if you're shipping this to Australia, you might want to use Australian accented English. If you're shipping this to India, you might want to use Indian accented English. I imagine that if you're shipping this to France or Germany, you would use the actual language rather than English, unless you're building a book where you want to teach the language. Then you would want to use the appropriate language variants that you want to teach. Another thing that you can do is translate with SPX. So let me show you that using the file that I just created, the Australian English accented file, and I'll translate that from the source language to German. And as you can see here, it comes back with a really good translation of that first sentence into German. You're going to have to trust me on this. So that's some of the stuff that you can do with SPX. If you're in a call center environment, You could point SPX at the location you store your call recordings to as well and transcribe those for you on a regular basis. You don't have to point SPX at a local folder. You can use its batch transcription command to point it at existing cloud storage. That offloads the work from your local machine to the speech service. Actually, you also can use more advanced functionality with SPX, like creating your own custom models or calculating word error rates between transcripts and recognitions. And you'll find those documented in the help files of the tool. Next, I want to announce a new feature that we're shipping to general availability on June 1st. This is a feature called speaker recognition. It effectively answers the question, who is speaking? Or is the person speaking really who they claim to be? Our customer Smart Shelf uses this in their employee access solutions instead of card key access. It's more secure than card key access because it's based on the person's voice. In telephony banking scenarios, you can also verify your customers by their voice instead of easily compromised data like their mother's maiden name. Or you can use the speaker recognition in digital assistant scenarios where you may want to play different content for your customers based on what you know about their preferences. For example, when they say things like play a movie. The feature is fully integrated with the Azure Speech SDK and works with your existing speech service subscription key. And finally, let me talk about the Azure Speech Service's flexibility in terms of delivering the service. We can work both in the cloud, in the standard Azure way, and on-prem. Containers are the newest way to deploy the speech service. A container brings the service APIs to your own on-prem environment where your other services may already be running. You may want to run a container because of specific security or privacy requirements or regulations in your industry, or you might have latency concerns, or you need offline usage. Containers are currently in public preview and support speech-to-text and text-to-speech, including customer varieties of each. Language ID and Neural TTS are limited to private preview right now, and you can contact us about those. KPMG is one of our customers that uses containers in their call center solutions, which helps them really meet their customers' needs in changing compliance regulations and saves them costs and reduces operational efforts for them. Before we move to Q&A, I want to leave you with this customer success story from our customer, Capita Consulting, that really shows how powerful our customization tools are, both in terms of time savings and accuracy performance. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Oliver, and hope you all enjoyed part 1. Let me invite Vish to speak to building voice assistants with custom commands. Take it away, Vish.
Hi, everyone. I'm Vishesh Oberoi, Product Manager on the AI Platform team at Microsoft, focused on speech and language products and services. In this session, I'll talk to you about building voice assistants using custom commands. In this session, we'll talk about typical customer scenarios we've heard around voice interaction experiences. We will dive into building a quick demo using our new custom commands product. And lastly, we will talk about extensibility, as well as how we're investing in tools and services to ensure you can build the most unique experience for your brand. So, voice user interface is an emerging pattern that is gaining a lot of traction through a broad range of scenarios, from media and entertainment, all the way through to hospitality, automotive, telecommunications, and call centers, where customers see voice-based interactions ranging from a whole lot of devices, from phones to speakers to cable boxes, TVs, cars, and so on. And in a lot of these cases, it often ends up being that developers end up having to learn a lot of different technologies to build these solutions for their end users. Here at Azure Speech at Microsoft, we want to ensure that you have all the right tools to build the most unique solution for your end users. Whether it is about building a custom keyword all the way through to being able to recognize all the domain-specific words that are unique to your business, as well as being able to build a custom voice that is designed and representative of your brand for your end users. Today, I'll spend most of the time on custom commands. Now, custom commands makes it easy for you to build your own voice commanding solutions, optimized for voice-first interaction experiences using speech and language understanding technologies. And with custom commands, you enjoy a single unified authoring experiences that provides you with a low latency runtime so you can deliver the best experience to your end users without having to worry about learning these new different technologies to build a simple voice commanding solution. Custom commands is ideal for companies in the hospitality, retail, and automotive industries, where you can easily build and create capability through voice for your end users, be it building the best in-room voice control experience for your hotel guests without having them fumble with switches, knobs, and remotes, or controlling the inventory in your store through voice by collecting it, tracking it, and adjusting it, or being able to switch on the seat warmers in your car. It's really about helping you build the best solution for your needs in the simplified single authoring experience. Now, without much ado, let's straight off jump to a demo, and I'll take you through a simple custom commands hospitality app. So over here on the right-hand side, I've got a simulated smart room that allows me to control my room using my voice that I'll be testing within the speech portal using the test your application feature using my voice. So let's get started. Turn on the TV.
Okay, turning the TV on.
So that was easy, just set a voice command that led to my TV being switched on. Okay, turn on the AC.
Okay, turning the AC on.
And in this case, I was able to turn on the AC. Make it a bit warmer, please.
What temperature do you want to set it to?
75 degrees.
Okay, setting it to 75 degrees.
So now let me walk you through how this demo was built. So on this Azure Speech portal, I will jump into custom commands. And within custom commands, as you can see, I've already got my hospitality demo set up. Now, within this portal, we've actually made it super easy for anyone to author commands that enable you to complete an action using your voice. So to begin with, I've got this section over here that has different commands. I've got a fallback command, which actually helps you, define some example sentences and a default response for things that you haven't configured. I've also enabled a turn on and off command, which essentially allows you to turn on and off different devices. The way I've configured them is by providing some example sentences using the LU format or the language understanding schema. I've then defined specific parameters over here for different devices. So in my case, I am controlling a television, an air conditioning unit, and some lights. I have defined a function for switching on devices on and off. And lastly, I've got different subject context configured as well. And in some instances, you might need to have some completion rules. And to fulfill those completion rules, you can define what are the conditions, specifically what are the parameters you need to complete a condition, as well as what are those actions that you need to define once you've got those conditions met. So in my case, I've got a simple template that defines what those conditions are and what are the different parameters I need filled prior to me calling an endpoint. Now, through our web endpoints feature, I can actually enable a call to an existing API, as you can see over here, and then simply configure it in my completion rules over here. So in here, I'm calling in the control backend endpoint, and here are my parameters that I've set up for that query string. On success, I simply respond with the speech output as well. And so there might be instances when these conditions are not met. And in those cases, you can actually define what are the minimum required parameters for you to define an interaction rule, which allows you to complete your business logic for your command so you can complete an action on that. Where in this case, if, for example, a subject device is not mentioned, I prompt back the user by asking what device they'd like to turn on and off. And then that allows me to complete my action based on that input from the user if it's met. And so once you've built your app, all you have to do is train it, publish it, and or test it. Oh, can you please switch it off?
Which device would you like to turn off?
Oh, turn off the TV.
Okay, turning the TV off.
It's super easy to set this demo for yourself. All you have to do is jump over to the Cognitive Services Voice Assistance repo on GitHub. And while we've got a whole bunch of different clients that we've actually open sourced for you to use and tinker with, at the same time, for this specific demo, all you have to do is go into custom commands, and under the hospitality folder, we've got a deployment script that you can easily run and deploy your solution in a matter of minutes. All you need is an Azure subscription and these three tools: PowerShell, Azure CLI, and .NET Core SDK. And since all of them are cross-platform, as you can see, I was able to run them on my Mac as well. First of all, I'll log in with AZ login, and then I'll simply run the deploy all script in PowerShell on my machine to deploy these resources in Azure to get this set up. Switching back to slides now. As you saw in the demo, custom commands is optimized for voice to action scenarios. I was able to use my voice to control the devices that were in my room, and through language understanding, I was able to specifically define what those actions were as well. We provide multiple points of extensibility where you can actually use the speech SDK. And if you go visit our GitHub repo where I first started off, there are a few different client apps that you can use to prototype, as well as being able to integrate with existing API endpoints so that you can make some stateful change in the back-end system. And there often might be cases where you might want to grow more broader than the current custom commands capability. And that's where you can use remote skills, which is part of the settings tab within the speech portal that allows you to expand and extend your custom commands app to a much more complex multi-turn dialogue system using the bot framework. Our goal is to meet you where you are through our platform and being able to build your own Lego spaceship brick by brick. And for that, when you're thinking about building a voice interaction solution, it's important to first start off with a great audio stack that allows for high quality audio input, optimized for voice first and speech scenarios. Microsoft has an audio processing stack that is available and extendable to different platforms, as well as custom keyword, where you can actually define a custom keyword that will enable voice activation for your users when interacting with your products completely hands-free by speaking through the keyword. Next, we've got the Speech SDK, which is available in different languages for different platforms that allows you to stream your audio as well as different app state elements and events straight to Azure. Now, what we've done is we've optimized the backend to ensure that we have all our speech services co-located so that you can not just verify the keyword that you had created for your device, but also have a direct correlation from speech recognition all the way through to your dialogue engine in the backend. Now, whether that is custom commands or bot framework will depend on different scenarios. And similarly, you have a robust set of choices when you're trying to build language capability within your solution as well, using Lewis, Q&A Maker, or others. And on the way out, you are able to use the speech synthesis service to go from text to speech. And through our new neural text-to-speech services, you're able to build a human-like voice that really represents your brand in a unique way for your customers. And finally, our goal is to make it easy for you to get started. We want you to be able to build a unique conversational experience for your customers that really reflects your brand. And being able to customize is at the heart of it. Lastly, one of our core principles of developing any solution in cognitive services is to ensure that your data remains your data and your insights remain your insights. And I'd encourage you to go on and look at our docs at aka.ms/speech/va no code, as well as the code samples that we've got available on the GitHub repo at aka.ms/speech/va samples. And finally, I can't wait to see what you build with our platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Vish, and hope you all enjoyed part 2 of Inside Azure Speech Services. Now let me invite Panos to speak to call center transcription analytics. Take it away, Panos.
My name is Panos Periorelis, and I'm a Principal PM in the Speech Group. I want to talk to you today about the latest and greatest in call center transcription analytics, and I want to share with you some demos. So let's get going and enjoy. The topic of this recording is call center transcription analytics. In terms of agenda, we're going to show you how to onboard onto speech services and get insights from phone calls very quickly. We're going to demonstrate two end-to-end solutions that tackle the telephony part, which I know it always poses an obstacle. And we're going to show how actual conversations can land on Azure and get analyzed. We're going to finish off with a short discussion on typical use cases you can put into pilots or production using the technologies that we're presenting in this video. Before we go into our demos, let me draw your attention to some of the new things that we have coming for speech. There is a fuller announcement of new things at the live session, but in this session I want to draw your attention to some call center specific features. The first one is the fact that we have a new REST API. So the new REST API v3, as we call it, will give you the ability to do bulk transcriptions. So you will be able to transcribe all your files within a container. We know this is important for some of the call center customers, especially the ones that use the service in an offline mode. There is also the possibility to swap models behind existing endpoints. This is also a requirement that we understood from you throughout the year. You want to be able to create new custom models and then swap them behind an existing deployed endpoint. Now with v3, we allow you to do this, so you don't have to create a new deployment every time you create a new custom model anymore. There's new stuff related to language. Again, we understood the requirement that you want to be able to, let's say, dump your files for transcription in storage without necessarily indicating the language. We can actually do this with the language ID feature, and there's more on that in the live session. And finally, for all your customization needs, you really need to go to speech.microsoft.com to see the improvements we have made on our speech studio. So the final thing I'm going to tell you before we go to the demos is that we have also been updating our models with telephony data. So the base models now are trained, a lot of the base models are trained with telephony data, which means for our call center customers that they can get much more accurate transcriptions straight out of the box without having to do adaptation. I want to emphasize that the customization or adaptation, as we call it, is paramount in the majority of the cases, but we also know that there are some customers that may not be able to adapt a model immediately. So we do offer the option of high accuracy in terms of transcription with out-of-the-box base models, as we call them. And with that, let's now do the demos. So in this initial demo, we will show you how a phone call conversation is analyzed using cognitive services. Henry, if you please.
Yes. Okay, so I'm dialing.
Hello, how can I help you?
Hey, I'd like to file an insurance claim.
Of course, can I have your name and address, please? And this is how a typical call would go. Let's see now how this short recording is analyzed on Azure. Okay? Okay.
That's good.
Okay, good. Let's do this. So the recording of the phone call conversation I just had with Henry landed in a storage account. And as soon as the file landed, it triggered a transcription and consequently an analytics process. There is various files being produced, which I'm going to come to in a minute. First of all, I want to play this file back to you so that you can verify this is the actual file.
Hello, how can I help you? Hey, I'd like to file an insurance claim. Of course, can I have your name and address, please?
So the first thing that comes back after the file lands on Azure Storage is a file we call receipt. And that actually contains some basic analysis of the file, of the recording itself, basically the audio length, the number of channels, the approximate cost of transcription, and its locale. And after a while, the transcript, the JSON form of the transcript is returned. There is two files here, each corresponding to the channels that were actually recorded. So this is the transcript of my colleague's channel. You can see here what he said, and you can look at the richness of the rest of the transcript as well. Before we analyze this a bit further, I want to do a second call, which is a bit more complex, and it includes a handover, and then I will show you some more analytics that we do. So let's do the second call.
So in this second demo, we're going to show how an escalation is handled. My colleague will phone up a bot, and the bot will transfer the number to a human agent. So take it away, Henry.
Yes. Okay.
Hello, I am the speech services reception bot. How can I help you?
Who's on call?
Panos Periorellis is on call at the moment.
Please forward me.
Forwarding you to the on call.
My phone rings. Hello, how can I help you?
Hi. So I'm using Azure Speech for my application, and I have a few questions for you.
Sure, please go ahead. And this would be another type of phone call that we would be able to handle through the solutions that we're demonstrating today. Now, let's see what happened to both of these calls on our platform.
The second file has now made it into our storage account, and again the same process has taken place. We have a receipts file created for it. I'm not going to show you the content, you know it already, but you can see it's here, and eventually you get the JSON file with it as well. The JSON file is mapped onto a relational schema that is stored in a SQL database. And the SQL database is used to source our analytics. So I'm using text analytics and some custom analytics that I created, and I'm visualizing those using Power BI. And this is what I'm presenting to you. The analytics themselves that I have created are really examples just to show you what you can actually do and how you can actually customize the analytics for actual conversations. I'm showing you here the sentiment of the call recordings overall. I'm also showing you the talk to silence ratio, and I have a couple of other things from text analytics like a word cloud that I'm capturing here. As I said, once again, the point that I'm making is not about the analytics that I created, but more about what you can do when you customize an application like this. So what we have shown so far is how you can actually create an end-to-end application that goes through telephony onto Azure and have Azure AI applied to it, along with production of powerful reports like the Power BI report that I'm showing you here. I guess by this stage you're wondering, how do we put all this together? So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Henry, and he's going to show you how we use ARM templates to actually create these solutions, these end-to-end solutions, and put them into production very, very quickly. So Henry, take it over.
Okay, so now let's have a look at the ARM template that can be used in order to set up the whole infrastructure for calls that we showed you earlier in this video. ARM or Azure Resource Manager templates are portable configuration files that can be used to set up all of your resources in Azure automatically for you. If you want to have a closer look at ARM templates, I would recommend you to have a look at the documentation that can be found under this link here. So if you would like to have a look at our ARM templates, you would right now have to go through one of our solution architects, but we also plan to make them publicly available at a later stage. So let's continue with our templates. So first I'm clicking on Build Your Own Template, and then I'm loading the ARM template that we've created earlier for you. Click on Save. And now you can see that there are multiple different parameters that you can use in order to customize your solution. So first, we have the storage account name here. This storage account will be used to save all of the audio files of the call after the call in order to do some further analytics on them. Then, of course, we need to set up a number that the user has to call in order to be connected to the bot or in order to be connected to the agent. If we have a transfer, we need to put in a target number for the transfer in here, and some more parameters, like for instance, if we connect the bot, the URI and the secret of the bot. For the speech recognition, we can put in the parameters here and also select the custom endpoint for the recognition if we want to. And last but not least, the username, the password for the virtual machine where everything is set up on if we want to connect to that. So after we filled out all of these parameters, we can click on Agree and Purchase, and then the whole infrastructure will be set up for you in the background. So in the previous video, we showed you that the audio files of your call will be pushed to a storage account, and from there they can be analyzed further. So now we're going to set up an ARM template in order to automatically transcribe and analyze these audio files on the storage account. So again, we click on Build Your Own Template in the editor. We're loading our ARM template. And as you can see, there are multiple parameters again that we can use to customize this. So first, of course, we need to put in the name of the storage account, where the audio files are stored, our speech services subscription key and the region. And if we want to use a custom acoustic or language model for the speech recognition, we can put it in here as well. But there are some more parameters that we can set up. For instance, profanity filtering, or if we want to use text analytics, we can use sentiment analysis as well. Another feature is that we can store all of our transcriptions to a SQL database if we want to use something like Power BI to analyze or to visualize them further. So after we set up all of these values, we can click on Agree and Purchase. And then all of the audio files that arrive on the storage account will be transcribed automatically as soon as this is set up. So now let's have a look at the resources that are created by our ARM templates. First of all, we can see that here are two functions in there. And these functions are responsible for getting the audio file from the storage container and creating the transcript of it, but not only the transcript, but in addition also the word level, timestamps, or the sentiment score. Then we have a few more resources in here that are related to our virtual machine, and also a key vault to store, for instance, the bot URI or the bot secret, and the speech services subscription key and things like that. Then we can see that here's also a SQL database. All of the information from the transcription, like word level timestamps, will be stored in here. And from there, you can connect to it via Power BI in order to get some analytics on top of it. And then we have our storage account in here, and this storage account will store all of the audio files and transcriptions and everything. And last but not least, our virtual machine is also here. Now, let's move on to our audio codes resources. And audio codes functions as a bridge between Azure and telephony in our case. We can see in here that we have two virtual machines which are connected to the same virtual network, and they can process approximately a dozen parallel calls, but of course we can spin up more virtual machines to support more parallel calls in here. Then all of our calls will be recorded, and therefore we use AudioCode SmartTap and then send them to a storage account where we can then analyze them further.
Thank you, Henry. Let me also show a picture that shows architecturally how both of the demos were set up. The numbers were set up using an online contact center, and during the call, the zip stream reached the voice.ai gateway that is set up on our own subscription on Azure, and the gateway is capable of contacting the various cognitive services for the analysis that we did, be it text-to-speech, for the voice phones, or speech-to-text, or bot framework. And this is how the whole thing was actually set up. Now that you have seen the demos and how we put them together, let's go back and discuss why these technologies are beneficial for call centers. In particular, what are the strategic benefits of implementing call center automation solutions? So first of all, you can reduce customer friction. Transcriptions, text analytics, and cognitive services will help you understand what are the issues your customers are facing and how you can help them resolve them. We can lower costs. Reading and processing a customer request through a transcript takes a lot less time than listening to a call recording. Some of my customers are reporting up to 30 to 40% reductions in processing costs when they deal with customer requests. In addition, having a transcript and having insights can help you understand your customers' behavior better, the patterns of using your services and products, comments surrounding those, and you can use transcripts and analytics to identify those and strategize better for the future. Even for internally facing use cases, you can use transcripts to evaluate your agents' performance and make them more productive. So let's go a step deeper and look at some very specific use cases that are popular within the call center. First off, corporate compliance. Transcripts and analytics can help you quickly assess whether your agents perform within the compliance guidelines when talking to your customers. You can also assess your agent's productivity through specific KPIs, measure the cost of having specific customer issues resolved, and the overall impact of your agents on call completion. You can use a transcript and reevaluate your customer conduct and make dialogues between your customers and your agents more impactful. Finally, you can monitor sentiment by using text analytics or even product sentiment of your services whenever they're being mentioned. We have been speaking with a lot of customers throughout the year. We know what the blockers are when building these solutions, and this is the exact purpose of these solution samples that we showed here in this recording. We want to unblock you to get to insights as quickly as possible, using transcripts, using text analytics, or the rest of the cognitive services platform. We will continue delivering cutting-edge technology and differentiating features for call center businesses. And if you want to use any of these solutions here today or parts of them, simply speak with your Microsoft solution architects and your Microsoft account managers. At this point, I would like to acknowledge some of my colleagues that helped us put these demos together. Thank you. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, you enjoyed the demos. I always look forward to your feedback, and in the meantime, stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you very much.